Hi, and welcome to the second hour of Mind Shifters Radio. And I hope, yep, it just sent me a notice, so that means I'm being heard. All right. So hopefully we'll have better luck than Dr. Tim was having with the technical issues of people calling in and not being heard. What was happening for me is once he said that he couldn't hear me any longer, I hung up and came back into the app again. But when I clicked on call in, it told me the call in failed. So we will definitely get Nedl to work on those. They do have a new update coming out this next week. I don't know if it'll be after the holidays, but anyway, Mike will be with us here shortly. I told him I would talk until he got on. So I saw that somebody had texted me, but I am not going to switch over because I think that's where issue came before, is when I switched off of the screen and went to check a text, and then it messed up when I tried to come back in. So anyway, if you're listening and you can hear me okay, tap comments and let me know, and we'll see if that part is working. No Limit says, but I like the concept of needle. Yeah, it's going to be really good once we get all of the little kinks worked out. And for those that are listening too, whether you're listening to the archive later, we are a company called Podetize. Actually, if you go to our website, whyagain.org, and click on the radio in the middle, it says Mind Shifters Radio. There's an explanation there. There's also a link to the newsletter if you're not on our mailing list, where we explain. I mean, I took screenshots step by step how to load the app if you don't already have Nedl loaded to your phone. And then if you go on down, it says listen with a podcast player. I explained that we are moving all the archives from Blog Talk over to Podetize, and then they will syndicate it out to, it's like 25 plus platforms or stations. And so you'll be able to pick up the archives from your favorite podcast player. Some of the examples were iHeartRadio, Spotify, TuneIn, Amazon Music, Google Podcasts, Radio Line. There's a whole bunch of them that they send out to. We've also been picked up by Mental Health News Radio Network, and they syndicate us out to a whole bunch of platforms as well. So you should be able to find us out there anywhere. On Nedl, right now it's listed Dr. Michael Ryce, but then if you do a search, will pop up. It's mine and Michael's picture or Dr. Tim's picture. And if you click that it's a favorite, like click the heart, it notifies you that we've gone live. And then also, when you turn on your app, then let me back up. When it notifies you, it gives you a link. If you just click that link, you're just listening. But if you want to talk or you want to comment or whatever, you have to be in the app. So once you've got the app loaded, if you have clicked the little heart that we are a favorite, then when you turn on your app, all you have to do is click your favorite button and we'll pop up. It'll say, that we're live. And so then you can just click on it and listen. You can click in the chat room, you can talk, click the caller button, and it asks you, um, you know, why you want to talk. Are you just agreeing or you want to comment or whatever? And we've asked them if we can skip that part. If somebody just calls, it would be nice for them to just have a one-step call. And also, it doesn't always notify us that there's a comment or a caller, so we have to click the button and look, to see if anybody's out there. And once you're in queue, then we click to turn your microphone on so that you go in where you can talk. And right now, like I said, what happens is once you finish talking and you get clicked off, sometimes it just kicks you out or it won't let you call back in. So when you do call and talk, say everything you want at one time until they get that glitch ironed out. And so we're glad that you're with us. I will, while we're just waiting on Michael, I will also say, of course, Dr. Tim's got holiday things going on, and so he's potentially going to be playing pre-recorded shows. All the pre-recorded shows will be picked up on Podbean. Now, here again, if you go to whyagain.org and Mindshifters Radio, there is also an explanation of Podbean. So you can, put that on your phone as well, and you can listen to the pre-recorded shows. It allows us to upload pre-recorded shows and set a date and a time for them to play. And whereas right now, and Nedl's working on getting us that feature, but right now we don't have that, and we can't depend on Blog Talk. They were supposed to not go down until the 31st of January. However, in the last 2 weeks, they've been down like 5 times. So we decided just to go ahead and make the switch to Nedl, even though there's still a few little glitches here and there. It was still dependable that it's going to be there. So Michael and I had picked shows on a relationship series that we were going to play the week that we're in Nashville. If you don't already know, my son is having brain surgery on the 27th. And so we're going to be in Nashville, Tennessee, and be with him, and he's going to be our sole focus. So we're not going to be doing any of our hour live during the 8 days that we're there. So our shows you will also be able to pick up on Podbean. And if on their website, whyagain.org, under schedule, the second one down says relationship series. And that tells you about, what we're doing and what we're going to be playing. December 26th and 27th, those are going to be Healing Through Relationships, part 1 and 2. December 30th is Mindshifters and Intro to Still Point. December 31st and January the 1st are going to be Communication. Did you hear what I think I said? Part 1 and 2. And then January the 2nd and 3rd is going to be Codependence to Interdependence, part 1 and 2. And so you can pick those up on Podbean, and they are set to start on those days at 1 o'clock. And so if Dr. Tim has shows pre-recorded and set, that's also where you'll pick those up. And we hope that you enjoy those. Then what we'll do with those recordings plus the recordings from Nedl, we are sending up 2 Podatais. We're also putting them on YouTube, so you can go to our YouTube channel and listen to any of the archives. I know it's a little bit confusing. There's a lot of things going on. It's confusing for us on this end too. So just be patient with us. We'll get everything ironed out eventually. And we are glad that you are with us. And so, Michael, do you want to use my phone instead of yours? Okay. I'm not sure if switching off of the screen is what created issues before, but it's not giving comments or letting you know that somebody has commented. So you have to every now and then hit the comment button and see if anybody's said anything. And then the caller button. Yes, I'm on right now.
Wanted to see if there were anybody with a question.
Okay. Michael's going to start. He's going to, in the next 3 days, complete the Book of Thomas. And so he said, if any, huh? Oh, he said, uh-huh. I thought he said, And so if you've got any questions, comment here at the front. And Susan said she just came back on and can hear just fine. She wondered what happened to Dr. Tim's hour. So, and that's the only thing. So if you have any comments or questions, if you want to be in queue, go ahead and hit it now. Otherwise,
And then
it asks, do you want to comment or agree or disagree or something? It gives 3 options.
And then hit the blue bar that says you're on.
Yeah, and then
let's talk about it.
And that puts you.
Voice in a while, Susan.
That puts you in queue, and then we can talk to you. And the same thing happened when I called in for Dr. Tim. Once I came out of queue, it said call failed and wouldn't let me back in. So I said, if anybody wants to talk, say everything you want to say up front before you go out of queue. So anyway, it's a lot of fun. I know it's confusing, and we're learning. So anyway, and don't switch off the screen, because that's what I did a while ago too.
We are learning, and Allende is just being awesome support. So it will get easier as time unfolds, and we'll get down pat how to catch everybody's thoughts his thoughts come forward. And I am just getting situated with 2 telephones in the other room. So give me a moment. We're winding down the Book of Thomas, and hopefully my last comments by the end of our show on the 25th will complete the Book of Thomas. You might just drop me a text if we just got a significant shift in sound quality. I just put a headset on. And so that would be helpful just to know how much different that is. And beyond that, all systems here are go. Give me 1 second. In a place where I'm able to to run both of them. It's a bit of a challenge, but delighted that you're here. Honored and looking forward to completing this this series that we've been doing. And I'm working on kind of a closure lesson for the Book of Thomas. And thinking that I've been writing it, working on it, and I'm thinking that perhaps it will not only be the closure, but it will be the opener for the new year. And I'm looking at a couple different things that we might step into as the new year rolls around. We will finish our last show on December 25th, our last live show, pardon me, on Nedl. And then it'll shift over to Podbean for the next week, since we can't do a replay here, but Podbean, if you download that, you'll be able to listen to the special series on relationships. And then we'll start over in the new year with a new topic. So we are on saying 107 in the Book of Thomas. And this one, again, when you try to understand these sayings with the exoteric mind, having outer meanings, it gets confusing, it sounds conflicting, and some of it doesn't sound very nice. But then when you hear it with the inner ear, when you hear that we're moving out of the world of perception, the idea of the whole teaching, remember that story about the dog in the manger being the bed of hay that the cows came to, and that the Pharisees were like the dog in the manger. It was not the right place. Just, it was a place where he didn't belong, and he had no food, he had no sustenance. And when the cows came to eat, they scared the cows away, so the cows had no sustenance either. So we're to recognize we're living in 2 different worlds reminds me of an old song, 2 different worlds. When those 2 worlds become one, there's the exoteric, there's the outer world, and then there's the inner world. And when you try to listen to words and thoughts that are designed for internal healing with the external mind, it just makes no sense. Seems like conflict, sometimes silly. But then when you realize that the whole idea is we're looking to get out of the manger that was used in that particular parable. What is that manger? What is that bed of hay? That's the perceptual mind. Remember, perception is nothing but a construct of the mind. Again, if you want to really get clarity on that, go to YouTube and put in Anil, A-N-I-L, Seth, S-E-T-H, TED Talk. Awesome TED Talk, where as a neuroscientist, he's at the University of Edinburgh or somewhere, he's a neuroscientist and explains that everything that we think we see with our eyes, and he doesn't use this metaphor, but to me, helps to make sense of it. Everything we think we see with our eyes is actually painted on the inside of our eyeballs. You never look outside with your eyes. The eye brings information in, and according to what the information received resonates within the mind generates the pictures that are painted on the inside of the eyeballs. Perception. I mean, the Course in Miracles. There's a lesson there, and if you haven't watched this video, go to our YouTube channel. Just go to YouTube and put in Michael RYCE, or go to whyagain.org, and on the right-hand side, click the YouTube link, and then look for What is the World? It's a shortened lesson, about 32 minutes, I think. And it goes in an abbreviated way through that lesson from the Course, What is the World? And it's hard for people to grasp this, but the whole answer is given in one sentence. What is the manger that was used in that metaphor where Yeshua was talking about the dog and the Pharisees? It's in the wrong place. If you're living in perception, you're living in the wrong place. So in one sentence, that lesson gives us the answer. It says the world is false perception. That's all. Everything you think you see out there in the world that's painted on the inside of your eyeballs is false perception. I mean, you look out and you see a world of bodies, right? If you trust Einstein, Einstein says on such things as matter, we've been all wrong. What we have heretofore called matter is energy, energy whose vibrations have been so lowered as to be perceptible to the senses. There is no matter. So if you're looking at a material world, and Einstein's correct, you're looking at a lie. Perception. What is the world? The world is false perception. It is born of error. And then that lesson gives the real key. It says, it will remain no longer than the thought that gave it birth is cherished. So we now hear or understand, if you've got the eyes to see and the ears to hear, that perception is nothing but a reflection of the content of the thoughts of the mind. The mind has this amazing capacity. You put a thought in it, and it turns the thought into pictures. It paints those pictures on the inside of our eyeballs, and we think we're looking out there in the world. And there's the bottom line error of the whole game. And so follow up on that lesson. What is the world? False perception born of error is not left its source, will remain no longer than the thought that gave it birth is cherished. And the major tool, the core tool that's missing from the world for healing is the ability to collapse that false world. What is that tool called? Well, in the ancient Aramaic language, it's called forgiveness. The only thing that forgiveness is designed to do is to collapse the false world, the world of perception, the world of that manger in that metaphor, to collapse it and make room for truth to enter. As that occurs, we go into process. And processing in this work we define as the ability to keep love conscious, active, and present when something less than love comes up. So with forgiveness, you never let anybody off the hook, never forgive anybody for anything. That whole idea of forgiving them is all part of the world of false perception, born of error. Forgiveness is the act of collapsing the world of false perception. When it collapses in on itself and gives you access to what the source of that false world is, and exposed to active present love and breath, the thought that gives birth to that false world is dissolved. And that makes room for actuality to enter. And when actuality enters, by its very admission into physiology, into the nervous system, into the emotions, into the mind is totally reorganized and healed. A good visual for that, two good visuals. One of them's not so nice, but we all are familiar with what happened in 9/11. We all saw the towers go down 1,000 times. And what happened to the towers? They dropped into their own footprint. Perception is the tower. Forgiveness is the airplane. When it collapses into its own footprint, the tower, false perception, collapses into the thought that gave it birth. And now clean and open space is created within the mind. And when actuality, truth, enters the space where there is error uninhibited, by the very presence of the energy of truth and breath, error is dissolved. That's called forgiveness. When you cancel a goal, the world of false perception, the tower, collapses in on itself. And now you have access to the underlying dynamic. And then the second metaphor, once that occurs, I can remember when I was a kid, one of the things I was into was electronics. I was like, yeah, man, I was into the physics, the electronics. And I can remember, and actually, if I look over here to my right, I have a structure that has some crystal lights on it, called a crystal bed. And sitting on it, I have an array of about, 2 dozen or so different magnets, or magnet structures, actually. There are probably a total of 50 magnets in these little structures that I play with my granddaughter. But magnetism has always really interested me. If you ever were in that field, or if you weren't, I'll explain it to you. If you ever were interested, especially as a kid, you might remember doing the experiment of you scattered a bunch of iron filings. You probably got a toy from mom and dad for Christmas. And you put the iron filings down on a piece of paper, and they were just scattered all over. And then you brought the magnet in underneath the piece of paper. And all of a sudden, all of these are there. There's nothing there, right? At least you believe there's nothing there. It's just a magnet. It doesn't touch the filings. But when the iron filings are scattered all over the piece of paper, and you bring the magnet underneath the piece of paper, all of those iron filings jump to attention, and they form a structure. That's a perfect image for forgiveness. Collapses perception, collapses in on itself. And now that there's an entry point for truth, truth is the magnet in our metaphor here. And the iron filings are all the energetic dynamics that make up every disease and every disorder, physical, mental, and emotional. And when truth is allowed to enter unimpeded, everything is automatically reorganized by the presence of truth. What is truth? So we've talked about the Harvard research where they're saying that, they were able to measure 10,000 units of electrical activity in a mind in the same time frame that on a conscious level they determined that the max amount of data that went into conscious awareness was 9 bits. So we have this 9-bit mind. What we see consciously is the result of the firing of a max of 9 bits of data out of 10,000 brain cells firing. It's been estimated in that same time frame that there are approximately 20 trillion bits of data in the actuality. The actuality is truth. When you let it in, it reorganizes everything.
You don't have to figure it out. There's the game. What does a 9-bit mind want to do? It wants to figure it out. That's the number one pseudo solution of the 9 being mind. There's this problem, and all I need to do is figure it out. And what would happen if if you've ever seen the result of a magnet under a piece of paper, it goes into certain shapes and forms. And there may be a million little bits of iron filings. When the magnet's under them on the piece of paper, they've got this shape and this structure. Could I ever take that million pieces of iron filings on the piece of paper and with a tool, I don't know, a pen or a screwdriver or something, could I ever, in a million years, take those million iron filings and make that instant transformation of those scattered iron filings into the structure that will reflect by the presence of the magnet? You can't figure it out. You can spend a million years trying to organize every little piece of that iron filing, and you will never get it to look like it will look like the instant you put the magnet under the piece of paper. It will create an instant transformation. And there's a line in the Course in Miracles that says, you'll never hear the the truth in words, but all you have to do is let it in. You can't let it in while you're fighting and resisting and trying to explain it and trying to tell everybody how you're right and why you're right. And while you're enraged with them and trying to fix it all, you'll never figure it out. But if you recognize that what built the tower that you want to collapse is a goal, and the word forgive is shabag, which means to cancel, you cancel the goal, the tower will collapse in on itself. Now you have exposed all of those millions of iron filings, all of the thought disorders around that given issue. You invite truth in and you breathe. And now you've placed the magnet underneath the piece of paper, and instantly the whole structure is reorganized. Breath and truth will reorganize your life. If you're sitting in there in your 9-bit mind trying to figure out how you're going to fix this problem or that problem or that problem or that problem, good luck. It's never going to happen. Ruka Dekudsha in Aramaic, what was translated as the Holy Spirit, nothing to do with a disembodied spirit being, but is a feminine elemental force that undoes the effects of our errors and teaches us the truth. That's the magnet. The introduction of the magnet to the magnetic filings gives them a structure that is perfect. A structure you could never figure out, a structure you could never do by hand. So allowing this, what in the ancient teachings, when they said, seek ye first the kingdom, they weren't saying seek ye first someplace off in the sky. Remember yesterday says, somebody tells you it's over there, don't believe them. That's crazy stuff. It's within you. What do you need within you? You need the free-flowing movement of the magnet. That was called the kingdom of heaven. The magnet is the active presence of love and breath. And when present, unless you've got different plans, because you got free will, if you want to stay with, if you want to cherish the thought that created that structure of pain, you want to hold on to it, you think maybe that rage is going to help you, it's going to protect you, maybe that fear will help you know when, I can't imagine, I can hardly believe how many people say, well, if you didn't have fear, you wouldn't know to stay away from the cliff. Excuse me. I saw somebody fall down the cliff. I got enough intelligence to say, I'm not going near the cliff. Thank you. No fear is needed to keep me away from the cliff. That's just silly 9-bit mind talk. So what was called the kingdom of heaven or the community of love would be like bringing the magnet into the field of the iron filings and allowing the transformation to take place. In Aramaic, the community of love. Those who come together, strengthening the presence of love in each other, are what was called the kingdom of heaven. So this saying 107, Yeshua says, the kingdom is like a shepherd who had 100 sheep. One of them, the biggest, went astray. He left the 99 and sought after the one till he found it. When he had labored, he said to the sheep, I love thee more than the 99. Now, if you try to interpret that one with the exoteric mind, trying to figure out, well, why is he loving, why is he loving this sheep more than I? But remember, Plato said, let me define the words and I'll end the argument. If you think love is a verb, something somebody's going to do to you or something you're going to do to somebody else, then this will never make sense. Because you'll say, well, why does he prefer that sheep over the other 99? That's not fair. And you get into a whole perceptual insanity. But if you look at the internally, what is he trying to say? What's he conveying about the magnet, the iron filings, and forgiveness? Basically, what he's saying is the whole of creation is in a conspiracy. And the conspiracy is to bring you into the healed state of wholeness. If you're lost, if you have some form of hostility or fear, you will notice that the universe is relentless and knocking at your door and giving you the why is this happening to me again experience. Person after person, situation after situation, event after event, day after day. Why is this happening to me again? Or if you're in denial and dissociation, you title my book, Why Are They Doing This to Me Again? What he's saying with this particular passage is that the whole of creation is literally here to bring you into a state of wholeness. And when he's talking about, will love you more than the 99, it's not about a verb. I approve of you. Remember the world's definition of love is a venial, and venial means minuscule form of approval. You'll notice how quickly somebody's falling over somebody. I cherish you. I love you. I love you. I love you. Oh, you SOB, you just violated one of my goals. What's wrong with you? I never want to see you again. And that wasn't love in the first place. That was just that silly perceptual construct stuff. So if you try to interpret this through the exoteric, silly perceptual construct stuff, it doesn't make any sense. But what he's saying is the whole energy of the universe is here to support you. It's focused on you, supporting you when you're in need of it. And being love is always there for you. Now, if you're not interested in accepting it, you'll block it out. You'll live in blockage of truth. You won't even know it's there for you. You'll think it doesn't exist in the world. But what he's saying is that being is here for you. That I love you more statement, since love is totally misinterpreted in the culture, love is not a verb, it's a noun. A more proper understanding is that your deeper needs drew out of the kingdom greater resources that rushed in to support you when a healed mind like his focused on you. So it isn't about that venial form of approval. I love you more than. And people are all vying. Remember the disciples who were in this perceptual world. They're like, well, who's going to be first in the kingdom? Me, no, me, no, me. Oh, I want to be approved of most. because they think love is approval. Love isn't approval. But with this passage, let's go back and hit the brain cells again. The kingdom's like a shepherd who had 100 sheep. One of them, the biggest, went astray. He left the 99 and sought after the one till he found it. When he had labored, he said to the sheep, I love thee more than the 99. Interpret that through the internal dynamic of what's meant there. And he's saying that you will receive a disproportionate share of the energy of being, of the presence of love, when you step into a willingness to be healed. So the universe will provide you with more and more resources when you're ready to make that shift. And then saying 108. He who shall drink from my mouth shall become like me. I myself will become he. And the hidden things shall be revealed to him. What hidden thing is going to be revealed? Well, let's go back and look at some of his other words in the ancient teachings. One of the basic principles is presented that to me is so mind-boggling and so powerful in the scriptures is the statement that the power of life and death is in your words. Literally, words are like the magnet we were talking about. Words organize according to the frequency we imbue them with, create the state of organization of our structure, of our thoughts, and of our perceptions. To really get a hold of the power of life and death is in your words. And then he says, I've got the key to a perfect life. And what is it? It says, my words. What is he saying? Is he a braggadocio? Is he, look at me, I have the perfect words. No. No, what he's saying is, I've done the work to connect with the mind of truth. I'm going to bring you frequencies. I'm going to bring you energetic patterns. I'm going to bring you a series of magnets from the mind of the Creator, the mind of love in me, which was called the mind of Christ. Remember, the word Christ is not a proper name. The word Christ is the title of an office. So the challenges of life that come from human minds that are out of harmony with truth come into that mind through words. So that the lack of truth, the lies, are primarily introduced by frequencies, words. And when you think of words as frequencies, I've never said a word in my life, and neither of you. There's a little flap of skin in my throat, and I've learned how to vibrate it, literally. And there's actually, if you go on YouTube, there's a really cool video of Mick Jagger, and they actually have a camera in his throat and show you his voice box vibrating. It's pretty cool. So when I move that flap of skin, it sets up a vibration of air molecules. Those air molecules move through the air, or in this case, they move through the air from my voice to this little plastic cone in my phone called a microphone. That little plastic cone moving around a magnetic coil converts that to electricity, which is then transmitted through the towers between you and I, whether you're in Timbuktu right now or wherever you are, and then is picked up by the antenna, brought back into the phone. That vibration, which is now just pure electricity, through magnetism, is converted back to motion, and the speaker in your telephone, a little plastic cone, vibrates and moves air molecules again, replicates what happens on the other end. Pretty amazing technology. And then the vibration of those air molecules hits your ear and causes a little drum to move, and the movement converts that movement of air molecules, the movement of that drum converts that back to electromagnetic energy that through resonance causes brain cells to fire. And you hear, not my words, which I didn't speak, you hear what resonates in your mind, your perception, the construct of your mind. If a lack of truth has been introduced, then those words are going to create confusion in your mind. And I'd offer those frequencies are the only thing that ever can destroy us. What Yeshua was saying here, drink from my mouth. The only words you'll hear, the only frequencies that come out of my mouth will be a reflection of the actuality. Truth will enter you through those frequencies. And therefore you will hear what I'm saying. You'll become like me, and I myself will be there with you. The frequencies that represent me will enter you and become like the magnet organizes the iron filings called your tissue structure, your cells, will reorganize them in harmony with truth. And if there's some disease energy that you've been hiding from yourself, that hidden thing shall be revealed to you. If you're in blockage of truth. And blockage of truth means in a disease process. And what's the primary cause of the disease process? Denial. What's denial? The belief that something outside of me is the cause of what's moving in me. When I live in denial, that means by definition, I have dissociated from the truth. So in effect, what Yeshua is doing with this package, with this particular passage, I'm going to add a thought to it, is he's asking that you breathe and be with his words. For when the vibration or the frequency of truth enters you, you now have given actuality access to your internal mind, to your unconscious. And that's what will reorganize the whole thing. So when truth enters you, instead of your story, he says you'll become like me. You'll be connected to your whole essence, and your whole essence is an electromagnetic field that will totally restructure everything in your body, in your mind, in your emotions, and in your world. And when unobstructed truth enters you, now, we're all exposed to truth all the time. It's always there. But if I live in denial, then I'm in blockage of truth. I don't honor truth. The signal that you're not honoring truth is some form of hostility or fear is moving you. That's the time to breathe and let truth enter you to reorganize you. Literally will reorganize your genes and your electromagnetic structure, which you call your cellular structure or your body. And the unobstructed entry of truth will expose and transmute whatever you've hidden from yourself. So what does he say will be the result of this? The hidden thing shall become revealed. You'll go, oh, that's it. The aha moment. But you've got to let the unobstructed truth come in. And when it does, energetically, just like, you know, when I have that magnet on a piece of paper and I've got it in one corner and all the iron filings over in this corner are reflecting a certain shape, and I move it to the other corner, all the magnetic, everything moves. Everything reshapes itself. So what he's saying with this passage is, he who will drink from my mouth. Are you ready to open to the frequencies that are coming out of my mouth? And if you are, then you'll be, he's saying, like me. And my energy will enter and be there of support. And whatever disease process, whatever, doesn't matter if it's from 1,000 generations ago, whatever is causing your disease, your discomfort, your pain, or your trauma, will be healed, will be revealed to you. And to me, this uncovers a really important principle. And that is, it doesn't matter what you've been through. Whenever you choose to breathe and open and be with truth, literally the creator's mind in which everything is preserved is made available to you. And your state of being is like it was just created yesterday. It's brand new, it's shiny, it enters in and brings healing to everything. The past is dissolved. And all you have to do is hold to that presence of love and breathe. Stand in willingness. If you notice yourself in denial, let go of the denial. Again, what is denial? And it can be so subtle. I was talking to somebody this morning and he was describing this whole situation. They said, and it really irritated me. So when the words "it really irritated me" were spoken, in essence, what he was saying to his mind was, mind, I don't want you to show me that I have any involvement in this whole situation that just happened to me again in my life. I don't want to see any of it. Build me a construct. Build me a perceptual structure. Build me a 9/11 tower that shows me that something out there, it is the cause of what's happening in here. And when that tower is built, perception, it is born of error. It is not left its source. And as long as you value it, it will remain. Breathe and let truth in, and everything will be reorganized. And break down that word organized. Organic structure, reorganize, literally, physiologically. And then saying 109. The kingdom is like a man who had a field. And in this field there was a treasure about which he did not know. And when he died, he left it to his son. The son also did not know. But he took possession of the field and sold it. The man who bought it came to plow and found the treasure. He began to lend money at interest to whomever he chose, pardon me. Yeah, it's like, wait a minute, what's this treasure in the field got to do with lending? Oh, this must be he became a banker. He became somebody who engaged in usury. Yep. If you want to look at that with the external mind, it's going to be very confusing. It's not going to make any sense. Just like, you look at today, and we have some. Last number I was aware of in my own research was about 32,000 sects of Christianity, and that was years ago. That's a number I've been using for years. But I recently came across something, and I haven't done any research. I don't know how true it is, but somebody was talking about how now they're up to about 48,000 different sects of so-called Christianity. So if you're looking at it with the external mind, with the exoteric, somebody's got a field and there's a treasure in it, and he dies, and the son takes it over, and the son sells it, and somebody bought it, lends money at interest. It's like, how does all of that connect? But if you look at the fact that your human life is your treasure, your own body mind unit is the field that contains the treasure. Ancestors pass on the family heritage. And if you look at the degraded state of the world, how many in the world today belong to the one world universal religion of blame, guilt, fault, shame, suffering, and victimhood? If that's the heritage you were offered, then that family heritage tends to obscure the treasure. It's like, the story of the kid that was told he had a gift, and they took him down to the barn, and the barn was full of horse manure. The kid walks away holding his nose. What a stinky place. That kid was the pessimist of the family. Then the same gift was offered to the optimist of the family. The second kid was taken to the barn with all the horse manure in it, and he got out a shovel and he started shoveling and said, with all this horse manure, there's got to be a pony in here somewhere. So many who receive this heritage have it obscured by the hostility and the fear, the unresolved ancestral dynamics of hostility, fear, blame, guilt, suffering. And all of that obfuscates the treasure. And so many just kind of fiddle their lives away. They sell out to fear and hostility. This is the son who, he took possession of the field. He never bothered to look in it, never cultivated it, and sold it. Most people just go along with the good old family feeling, go along with the culture, the brainwash of the culture. Yeshua is inviting us to come out of that. So instead of fiddling your life away, selling out to fear and hostility, begin to cultivate, begin to go inside the field, the body mind unit, where the real treasure is, instead of being enamored with the trinkets of the world. And you'll notice, just take a look. And I made this mistake with my kids. Fortunately, I've learned, and we're doing differently with our grandchildren. But basically, it was all about, oh, look, what's out here? Look out here. Look, 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 look. Even though I was doing this work when my kids were small, it was a starting point. I was just starting to cultivate my own field. I didn't know enough. But I gave them all kinds of trinkets and education and things out here. Yes, I gave them forgiveness, but never really helped them to cultivate the internal world. So when you start to look within, instead of being enamored by the trinkets of the world, the relationships, the toys the world has got, and guided to go within, you discover that when you allow, going back to our metaphor of the magnet, if I allow being, the magnetic field of being, to freely and in an unobstructed way enter into conscious awareness and physiology, there will be such a sensation of delight, of joy, of aliveness. It will be beyond comprehension. I mean, when you first drop enough of the hostility and fear-based mind to let yourself taste of it, I mean, literally, it's so magnificent that it just goes beyond anything that could be comprehended with the mind. So this person discovers a treasure, human life. Now, the reference to lending it interest, my offering is, when you look at it esoterically, what it means inside, is rather than being out there because you found a treasure, now you're making money off of it. He's saying that having found the treasure, that now you begin to give the treasure away. And you begin to develop the technology for cultivating in deeper and deeper ways the tools for discovering the depth of the treasure. And of course, that's projection. That's what I've done. I started out in this work. I was in the business world. And it took me about 6 years of being engaged in this work before I literally closed the door on 3 businesses and went back to school to deepen my understanding and learn these tools. And what's the lending it interest? Well, what I found was, and there's a great line in the book, Adventures of a Reluctant Messiah. It says, we teach best that which we most need to learn. And so what happens is, as you start to extend these tools to others, as there's a stage where, as an energy field, there's the receiving of that energy. And as you receive that energy, there's a certain transforming power to it. Like I was talking about, the magnet comes in and it reorganizes the state of the structure, literally, physiologically. But then there's another phase. That's when you're receiving. And then there's the radiation of the energy. And that has a whole different level. Once you've gotten a deeper grasp of it, and then you start to offer it to others, your comprehension, your experience of this treasure grows. And that's what he's talking about, lending it interest, that you automatically start to offer it. And you gain with each sharing. I've said over and over on the show for all the years we've been doing it, thank you to everybody who asks a question, because every question asked that I haven't thought of gives me an opportunity to move into another area of my own field, comprehending something that I perhaps never would have thought on my own, and giving me an opportunity to receive this treasure at another level myself. So recognizing that by teaching it, you learn it. The direct experience of the deepest levels of the treasure only comes by extending or sharing that treasure, and so you gain. By offering it. So breathing with you. And as we breathe, I'm going to invite you to just allow yourself to soften. Let your jaw open. Just get your lips part a little bit so your jaw is softened, your face is soft. Breathe through your mouth an unrestricted, relaxed breath. Imagine that you are immersed in a really awesome energy field that we'll name as love. And immersed in that field, as you let the energy of that presence of love in, you are transformed by that field. Breath is one of the keys to receiving the treasure. Breath is one of the keys to bringing those perfect words into your field. And letting the mind go, you don't have to figure it out. You just let it in. And as you let it in, you are restored. And so breathing deeply, notice anywhere in your structure that there's any kind of restriction, any kind of tightness. It might be a fist, it might be your jaw, your eyes, your forehead, your feet, your buttocks, your calf muscles. Persons with restless leg syndrome tend to have a lot of energy locked up in their pelvis, genitals. Just allow your breath to gently move through your whole structure. And just allow yourself for a moment to focus into the line from the worksheet that says, when I choose love, it wakes up the love in everyone. Imagine that you're sitting literally 2,000 years ago in front of Yeshua. And Yeshua says to you, I have chosen love. And now that I have chosen love, the energy of my choice is available to you. It is like a hand reaching out that resonates, enters into you, and causes that presence of love to move in you on deeper and deeper levels. And as you breathe and as you keep your breath connected, that presence of love takes over your whole physiology. And just allow yourself to breathe into and feel the delight of that in your tissue structure. In Aramaic, when they said, Yeshua says, my peace I give to you, my peace I leave with you. In Aramaic, what he says is, my serenity. Allow yourself to just fully and totally be embraced in serenity. And as serenity enters every cell, imagine that it is, because it is literally a magnetic force. Every energy that moves creates a field. Allow that magnetic field to enter every cell of your structure. and breathe it deeper and deeper into your cells until it literally opens the coating that protects your genes. The breath will open that coating. And as it does, allow that energy of serenity as everything in you softens. Allow that energy to just melt down deeply into your family tree, touching and bringing healing to every unresolved dynamic of your mother's life. Think about your mom. Surround her in the presence of love for her healing. You take another breath and allow it to simply deliver that energy of serenity and love inside of your father and your father's life. And take another breath as you go the next layer down. And allow that serenity, that literal energy of active present love, which is literally an electromagnetic force, allow it to be delivered to your grandparents. And just feel their gratitude and appreciation for the fact that you've opened and found the treasure in your field. And as you breathe, allow it to simply move deeper and deeper and deeper into every generation of your bloodline. And deliver there the peace that passes all understanding.